welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is upset to opportunity. So when we have an upset, we often feel like we have to fix things or we resist things or we feel like we're at the effect of things, feeling victimized, all kinds of reactions. And what if instead we were to find a way to respond to those upsets as an opportunity to actually find an opportunity for growth, for expansion, for new perceptions? So that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Rosalind. So good to have you here with us this morning. And welcome to everybody else who's joining us. Today we're talking about upset to opportunity. So I can't say enough, and probably, can't even count the number of times I've said how important the stories we tell ourselves are in our experience of life. And when we create a framework through which to experience life that is an expansive framework, it impacts the way that we experience life, and that that framework is kind of a larger story that then enables us to craft stories that are life affirming. So when we look at life as a teacher, not a punishing teacher, so many of us think about karma as a punishment sort of thing, or we talk about life's lessons as punishing sorts of things. That's not what we're talking about here, but a teacher that enables us, gives us opportunities for growth and expansion. That's a really powerful framework to be looking at our experience from. So if we recognize life as teacher, our bodies as teacher, our thoughts as teacher, our egos as teacher, like everything is an opportunity for learning, for lifelong learning. And if we can relate to the challenges that present themselves in life as opportunities, that framework is profound, not only in the way that it would prompt us to respond to the circumstances of the moment, but how we can utilize those circumstances and our reactions to them as a point of growth and development. So what does that look like? One of the things that I talk about with clients a lot is if it's coming up, it's coming up to heal. So when people get upset, when we get upset about things, and I've been able to observe this in myself, I imagine you can with yourself as well, when you notice that you're having an outsized reaction to something where this thing happens and it sparks this huge upset, that if you can have the grace, and I guess that's the unknown factor here, if you can have the grace to be able to step back and notice that, oh my gosh, I really overreacted to that, like that was kind of out of proportion, then that's an opportunity. As soon as you notice that, it's an opportunity to look at what is going on under the hood. What was it that got triggered that threw you out of the present moment and into some other past interaction or trauma that would provoke the extreme reaction? So that's where we get to look at for the opportunity and employ curiosity to dig in, to say, okay, so if it's coming up to heal. This is the context. And we're turning that upset into an opportunity for personal growth and development, because we are inquiring into something that has been made visible that was previously hidden. So when we get really angry over something silly, there's an opportunity to look at, well, what was going on there? What was it? What were the dynamics that acted like a gotcha for me, that made me lose my center and threw me into another space or time where that level of emotion might have been appropriate. So I don't know if you've noticed, but oftentimes when we're upset about something in one arena, we express it in another, right? Where you might be angry at a spouse or a friend or a family member, and then take it out on the house, like marching around the house and knocking things over, um or you might take it out on a random person when you're driving. You might have road rage or something as an expression, a way to express that emotion that was pent up in another context. Ideally, of course, we would be dealing with our emotion as it arises. So when we're in the midst of an upset, ideally, it would be great to be able to say, I need a timeout. I need to take a minute, and step back and recenter myself, or to even just declare to the other person, if it's with another person, I'm feeling very upset right now, or I'm feeling uncentered. I need a few minutes to situate myself. But that doesn't always happen, and we don't always have that opportunity. So what happens is we get triggered by other things, and that brings us back to needing to address the thing that we didn't address in the first place. So we carry all kinds of memory in our body and being, in our physical bodies, our emotional bodies, in our behaviors, and in our thoughts, obviously. So we can get triggered on all different kinds of levels, and we can have the experience of something coming up to heal in all different ways. So we might be upset about something, trying to push it away, and maybe the next day we've got some kind of pain in our stomachs, or a sore throat, or a pain in the shoulder, or some kind of pain that came out of nowhere. That too is an opportunity to look at not necessarily just what did I do physically that might have engendered that discomfort, but what's going on with me. And I can say that our bodies are a wonderful gateway to understanding, or to discovering things that are coming up to heal. If you allow yourself to inquire of your body, what's going on, what's at the root of this, you may find yourself quite surprised to notice that maybe your shoulders hurt because you're carrying the weight of the world. Or maybe your gut is upset because you can't stomach something. Or your throat is sore because you're not expressing something that needs to be expressed. So Louise Hay wrote a book. I'm trying to remember what it's called. I don't know if it's called You Can Heal Your Life, maybe. But she's written more than one book about the correlations between physical conditions and emotional conditions. And so our body is also communicating to us when things need attention. And I can recall a situation where I twisted my ankle pretty badly, and I just sat with the pain. And as I was present to the pain, interestingly, it got worse. It got excruciating, and then it disappeared. But before it disappeared, what showed up was an issue with my father, interestingly. And I was able to have an emotional release along with whatever was going on physically. And at the end of that process, the pain was gone. And I was able to walk. So we have this miraculous interplay of sense-based experience that is indeed an interplay. We cannot legitimately separate our thoughts from our feelings or our perceptions. We can't separate our physical experience from our emotional experience, which is connected to our thoughts. They're all intertwined. And given that they're all intertwined, there are opportunities to approach our growth and development from any one of those angles, or multiple angles. But this notion that body, mind, and spirit, or emotion, body, and mind, or ego, are separate is a fallacy. And when we can recognize this interchange, this interrelatedness, then we can use all of these modes of feedback as an opportunity for learning, as an opportunity for growth. So even when we have the grace, and I say grace because we can get locked into this hamster wheel pattern of repetitive thought or victimhood or any number of other patterns. But so that's why grace becomes an important thing. When we are able to have the grace to recognize the pattern. So to recognize, oh my gosh, I'm in this thought loop, or to recognize that, oh my gosh, I'm going down this emotional spiral, or I'm reacting to the pain that I'm experiencing. I'm experiencing all these aches and pains, and I've been pushing them away instead of recognizing what's going on and addressing it in some way. We can take all these opportunities if we have the grace to be able to recognize them as points of inquiry, as points of discovery, or the initiation of discovery, where we can start to gain a deeper understanding, gain a deeper perspective. It's like we get these encoded messages, even from circumstances in life, where you might find, like, in it during a day, maybe one thing after another is going wrong. Maybe there's a message in that, like, it's time to step back, stop pushing, or maybe shift the approach or shift the attitude. Maybe the things that are occurring that are going wrong might be a reflection of ourselves. And I think that's often the case. Where the stories we tell are not just disembodied stories, they're incorporated, embodied in our being also. So if things are a struggle and we're noticing, oh my gosh, I'm struggling, then we get to look at, well, what's going on inside me that is struggling? So we've got these invitations from every angle all the time. Invitations to see something new. Invitations to perceive things in a different way. Invitations to engage with life in a different way, rather than trying to fix something that isn't necessarily broken. So when we get angry about something, especially if it's disproportional, then we can use that as an opportunity rather than making ourselves wrong and criticizing ourselves for being angry or pretending that we're not angry, pretending that we don't have that emotion. We can use it as a communication from our greater intelligence that is directing us into a greater awareness of something calling for our attention. In other words, taking that upset and using it as an opportunity by employing curiosity rather than judgment to say, isn't that interesting? Not, what's wrong with me? I got angry over that, or I acted out of proportion. Rather than that is to be curious and say, wow, that was kind of a disproportionate response. What's up with that? What can I do with that? What is there for me to learn? What's being exposed in that reaction? And then addressing whatever it is that's been exposed. And it's simple. It's simple, but not necessarily easy, because we're engaging in this sleuthing activity, and then to look at where does that come from. It's not always as easy to release the pain and the pattern. But the first step is awareness. And when we can recognize that our reaction is coming from the past, typically, then that can allow us perhaps to let go of the reactivity in the present. Like we can start to make distinctions about what's past and what's present. Until we're able to make those distinctions, our lens through which we see the world is very much influenced, if not dictated, by that past experience. And this is how we take our past and we put it in front of ourselves and live into it, because we have these reactions, these contexts from the past that become the filter through which we perceive the world. So the trick here is being graced with the opportunity to make the invisible visible, because the patterns that we live with aren't typically visible to us. And until maybe we meet somebody else who has a very different pattern and it looks like conflict. And it's like, oh, wow, we've got worlds colliding. We've got patterns colliding. My pattern and your pattern. And all of a sudden, there's discord. And we notice, usually we make it about the other person, right? Because we don't recognize our own patterns. And we lay blame on somebody else for the way that things are, for the conflict. But what if in some way, shape, or form that other person is actually reflecting us? I can't tell you how many times I've worked with clients and they have said, as soon as I changed, everybody around me changed. You know, as soon as I felt better, the world was a different place. And somehow this other person changed. And it's partly because they're a reflection of us, and partly because there's this dynamic. So if I'm nice to you, you're more likely to be nice to me. If I'm rotten to you, you're likely to be rotten to me. So if I change, it's very likely that our relationship will change. And they're all different levels of change too. So if I feel unworthy, I'm going to act out of unworthiness and engender that kind of treatment, perhaps from others, and maybe be very upset by that treatment. If I feel worthy and somebody treats me in a denigrating way, I'm not going to be as impacted by it because I'm already worthy and I don't need their approval. So does this connect for you? I invite you to explore as upsets arise, to inquire, wow, what's going on that I got upset? What's that about? What's the opportunity? And to couch things, even setbacks, even the things that we get frustrated by, maybe especially those things. What's the opportunity? To step back, take a moment. What's the opportunity here? So that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to please like, follow, and share Enlightened World Network and me. The links are in the description. And as always, it is really a pleasure and a privilege to have the opportunity to share these morning musings on what it is to be human. So until next time.